Hi everybody, it's Geordie from Geordie's Cards. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am back with episode 32 of my Shop Your Crafty Stash series, and today I'm creating a floral themed card. So my random number generator selected this MFT Fun Flowers stamp set. I do have the coordinating dies for this, which is awesome, and it also chose out the Lawn Fawn Outside In Stitched Star Stackable die set. So I have also pulled out this MFT paper pack. It's the Petite Gingham 6x6 paper pack, and I'm using that kind of greyish blue colour there. So I coloured and cut out all of my little flowers off camera, but I used a colour palette today. So this is the colour palette that I chose here, and all I did was I chose 3 markers to fit with each colour, except for that kind of pale greyish blue, which is going to come from my pattern paper here. So I have gone ahead and cut out that largest star from this pattern paper, which I cut down to 5.5 by 4.25. I also have a piece of, this is Concord and 9th cardstock, and it's in Peacock colour. So I cut that as well to go along the back of my card. And now, before I do anything else, I am stamping out my sentiment. So this is something that I often forget and end up doing last, which is always a mistake. So I did remember to do it first today. And I have pulled out this Simon Says stamp set. It is called Simply Thank You, Simply Thank You. I got it as a freebie with a purchase from Simon Says Stamp, and it's a great one for thank you cards, but also there's some sentiments that work really well on their own as well. But I have stamped out that sentiment that says, thank you, you are amazing, and I just thought that looked really nice on there. Just stamped it in black ink at the top left and bottom right-hand corners, and now I've gone ahead and stuck that Peacock cardstock to the back of this pattern paper. Now I'm going to start assembling my kind of details here, all of my flowers. So I have chosen a very bright colour palette, and I think it really pops on that nice that kind of peacocky coloured cardstock at the back. And I'm just kind of arranging my flowers there. I wanted that large one in the centre, and then the other bits kind of coming off it to form that star shape that's in the background. So you can still see that it's a star. And I just wanted to use up my little pieces and try and create that kind of a look. And I think it turned out quite nice. I'm just laying everything out before I decide where to stick everything down permanently. I wanted to move things around a little bit, decided to move those flowers and separate the pinks and the purples from each other a little bit more. And once I'm happy that everything is in the right place, then I can go ahead and start gluing everything down. So I'm going to try and do that without moving everything too much. And I will be using a combination of liquid glue and some foam squares as well. So some things are going to be adhered completely flat, and others, are like this flower, are going to have a combination of flat and foam squares. So I've put the foam squares behind the flower head, and then the base of it is going to be stuck flat to the card base. So just the kind of flower head will pop up a little bit and give it a bit of dimension. I'm going to carry on and go all the way around all of my little pieces here until I get them all stuck in the right place. And once I'm happy with it, I can just attach it to a card base. So it was quite an easy one to do today. I really like these MFT flowers. I have used them a couple of times, but not for a long time. I like the look of them. They're not too realistic, and so you can kind of go a little bit crazy with the colours. And I chose a colour palette today. I often do this with my card making and also with my adult colouring. I don't know if any of you like adult colouring. I quite enjoy colouring in a colouring book, and actually for the last few weeks I have been on holiday and I have not been doing any crafting as such, but I have been doing some colouring. So I pre-recorded a whole lot of videos so that I was all set to go on holiday and didn't have to worry about it. And I'm just kind of getting back into my craft room now, which is really nice. But I often use these colour palettes to help me decide on colour combinations. It's a really, really good option. So if you ever find yourself stuck for inspiration and you're not quite sure what to do, I highly recommend a colour palette. You can go on Pinterest and there are tons on there. I actually have the Sarah Renee Clark colouring companion, which is it's an online version. You can buy a physical copy of it. It's called the Color Cube. I just have the online version, and I can kind of scroll through. There are hundreds of color palettes on there, and I can choose by theme or by a particular color, or by a keyword. So for example, you could put flowers in, and you can see what comes up and see what takes your fancy. But I often use these as a way of choosing colors that I know will work together. And I think that can make all the difference with a card or a colouring picture, is trying to get colours that we know are going to work together. So if you've got a colour palette, you can see it there, you know that the colours are going to complement each other, it's going to work. So just a good little tip, if you ever get stuck and you're not sure, I highly recommend just having a browse online and finding a colour palette that you think is going to work. So for this one, as I said, I went nice and bright and colourful and bold, and I thought it looked really, really pretty, and it works well with that soft kind of pale bluish grey gingham background. Okay, so that is the front of my card pretty much complete. But then I decided to pull out these Novo crystal drops here. These are in the colour Crushed Grape, and I instantly regretted doing this, mostly because I hadn't yet attached this front panel down to my card base, and I probably should have waited, but I didn't because I'm too impatient, and I tried to stick it down to my card base, and yeah, I ended up putting my finger in one of those little dots of Novo crystal drops. Thankfully, I managed to salvage it pretty well, I think. I don't think it's too noticeable in the end. But yeah, word of warning, don't do what I did. Here we go. That's where I just put it in. I was like, oh no, why did I do that? I'm so impatient. I should have just waited. These crystal drops do take a long time to dry. They recommend setting them for at least 24 hours. So I will just lay my card flat for the next 24 hours until they are properly set, and try not to touch it again. But I'm really happy with how this little card turned out. I think it's lovely, it's bright and colourful, and just a really nice thank you card for somebody. I hope you enjoyed this one today. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe to my channel. I'd love to see you come back and join me again. And please feel free to leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care.